We've been taught to believe that energy is a poetic metaphor, a vague spiritual idea, something unmeasurable. Intangible, perhaps even imaginary. We use phrases like good vibes or low energy without ever realizing that we are referencing the most fundamental reality in existence, a reality that modern physics, neuroscience, and biology are now catching up to finally putting language and data to what mystics have always known, that you are not a solid being in a solid world. You are a frequency, a living waveform, a dynamic emitter and receiver of vibrational information encoded into every thought, breath, emotion, and cellular process. This is not esoteric. It is measurable. Your body emits a measurable electromagnetic field right now generated primarily by your heart and brain. The HeartMath Institute has shown that your heart's field extends several feet beyond your body, broadcasting emotional data into the space around you. Meanwhile, your brain produces oscillations, brain waves that shift in frequency depending on your state of awareness. Alpha, theta, gamma, delta, these are not just categories. They are vibrational keys, each unlocking a different range of perception, attention, and creation. This means you are never not broadcasting. Even in silence, even in stillness, you are sending out a signature wave, a vibrational fingerprint that the quantum field receives, interprets, and responds to, not based on what you want, not based on what you say, but based on what you are vibrationally. This is where the lie of positive thinking begins to collapse, because you can repeat mantras all day long. You can say, I'm abundant, or I'm loved 1,000 times. But if your body is still vibrating in anxiety, if your breath is shallow and tight, if your subconscious is broadcasting fear, then the field is not receiving your words, it's receiving your energy, and energy is always telling the truth. So, the real question isn't what am I trying to manifest? The real question is what am I currently emitting, because the field doesn't deliver based on effort. It delivers based on coherence. Coherence is when your thoughts, emotions, and body are in alignment, when your inner state is congruent, synchronized, resonant in a coherent state. Your heart and brain enter into electromagnetic harmony. Your body relaxes, your perception expands, your vibration stabilizes, and the field responds faster, more precisely, and with greater clarity, not because you forced it, but because you matched it. And yes, this is scientific. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows us that the act of observation, the presence of consciousness, collapses waves of probability into particles of reality. But here's the part most people miss: it's not passive observation, it's energetic observation, meaning the frequency with which you observe influences what you collapse. This is why two people can enter the same situation and have completely different experiences. One collapses safety, joy, expansion. The other collapses fear, doubt, stagnation, not because the event was different, but because the observer was. You are the observer, but not just with your eyes. You observe with your nervous system. Your frequency is observing reality at every moment, instructing the field on what version of reality to materialize. This is not something you turn on and off. It's constant, which means you're always manifesting. The only question is whether you're doing it intentionally. To manifest intentionally, you must understand your own energy as a real dynamic trainable force, not as an abstract idea. Your emotions, for example, are not just feelings, they are frequencies. Anger has a frequency. Grief, shame, joy, gratitude. These emotional states create biochemical changes in your body and electromagnetic shifts in your field. They are signals, and they carry instructions for the quantum. Gratitude, for instance, has been shown to increase heart-brain coherence, reduce cortisol, elevate immune function, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. But beyond the biology, it also emits a specific coherent frequency that resonates with timelines of peace, ease, and expansion. When you hold this vibration long enough, you become magnetic, not metaphorically, but electromagnetically. And here's where the science meets the soul. You are not just a human trying to survive in a chaotic world. You are a conscious waveform embedded in an intelligent field, and that field is not separate from you. It is you extended. It is the mirror of your dominant vibration, always shaping itself to match your broadcast. When you understand this, not just intellectually but viscerally, you begin to take your energy seriously. You stop treating vibration like a vibe. You begin to treat it like a technology, because that's what it is. A spiritual technology with physical consequences. And once you take responsibility for your frequency, manifestation becomes less about doing and more about tuning. Not controlling, not begging, not proving, just tuning your breath, tuning your thoughts, tuning your emotional field to match the reality you say you want. Not later, but now, because the field doesn't wait, it responds. And it responds not to desire, but to dominion, to the energetic authority of someone who understands. I am not reacting to the world. I am broadcasting it. This is the true science of energy, not magic, not mystery, but measurable, trainable, repeatable coherence. And if you can feel even a glimpse of this truth, then the transformation has already begun. If you could see your reality as it truly is, before it becomes solid, before it takes shape, before it crystallizes into the events and circumstances you call life, you would find something astonishing, a web of energetic instructions, invisible frequencies running beneath your conscious awareness, coding the quantum field with commands that shape what shows up, who shows up, and how fast it all unfolds. These instructions are not written in words. They are not affirmations or goals. They are vibrational signatures. I and they are being broadcast from you at every moment. This is the hidden blueprint. It is not visible to the naked eye, but it is very real. Just like Wi-Fi signals are invisible yet carry vast amounts of information, your energy field carries and emits a constant stream of vibrational data, a living blueprint that the quantum field reads, responds to, and translates into physical form. This blueprint is composed of several layers. Your thoughts, yes, but also your emotions, your breath, your neurochemistry, your posture, your tone of voice, and perhaps most powerfully, your subconscious beliefs. Together, these elements form a coherent or incoherent frequency, and coherence is everything. In a coherent state, the blueprint is clean, sharp, signal-rich. The information being emitted from your body is consistent, and the field can respond with precision. It can collapse realities that match the blueprint. It can magnetize people, situations, and opportunities that align. But in an incoherent state, when your thoughts say, I'm ready, but your body's still bracing for disappointment, the signal gets scrambled. The field receives interference. The blueprint becomes distorted, and the collapse of reality becomes slow, foggy, unstable. This is why manifestation often feels confusing. It's not that the universe isn't responding, it's that it's responding to mixed signals. You can say, I want to be wealthy, but if your breath is shallow, your shoulders tight, your nervous system locked in survival mode, and your core belief says money isn't safe, then the frequency being emitted is not abundance, it's fear. And fear, when repeated enough times, becomes a dominant instruction. The field receives it and begins constructing a life to match. But here's the empowering part. The blueprint is editable. You're not trapped in the frequency you were raised in. You're not doomed to live by the emotional patterns of your past. Through awareness, practice, and intention, you can rewrite the energetic code. You can reprogram your blueprint, not just with new thoughts, but with new emotional states, new habits of attention, and new somatic anchoring. And once you begin this shift, the field responds rapidly because it's not biased. It doesn't care who you've been, it only cares what you're broadcasting now. This is the quantum fairness. Reality doesn't punish or reward, it mirrors always precisely, without delay, when coherence is present. But to access this power, you must first understand that your body is not just flesh and blood. It's an antenna, a transmitter, a tuning device, designed to interact with the field. Your heart, for instance, is not just pumping blood. It is the most powerful electromagnetic organ in the body. According to research from HeartMath, the electromagnetic field of the heart is 60 times stronger than that of the brain and can be detected several feet outside the body. This field carries emotional data, measurable, impactful energy that radiates into your environment and affects not just your health but your external reality. Your brain, meanwhile, is an electrical interface. Neural pathways, brain wave states, and cognitive focus all generate vibrational outputs. Every time you imagine a future, every time you replay a memory, every time you dwell in a thought or feeling, you are tuning your internal frequency, and that frequency becomes part of your external blueprint. Then there's your breath, the most overlooked and underestimated frequency tool of all. Breath modulates the autonomic nervous system. It directly impacts your emotional tone. It recalibrates your state instantly. A single conscious breath anchored in awareness can begin shifting your field, and when that breath is sustained, when it becomes a rhythm, a ritual, a baseline, it reshapes your signal entirely. So the question is not just, what do I want to manifest? It's, what blueprint am I uploading to the field right now? Because the field is listening. It's watching not as a judge but as a mirror, and it's building your reality, not in response to your goals' bias but in response to your energetic coherence. This is why no vision board, no scripting exercise, no affirmation loop can outperform your dominant frequency. You can overlay all the intention you want, but if your baseline energy is out of alignment, the blueprint is still scrambled. But when your frequency becomes clean, something else happens. Synchronicities increase, resistance decreases, clarity sharpens. People begin to treat you differently, not because they've changed, but because your field has. Life begins to feel less like something you're trying to manage and more like something that's flowing with you. And that flow is not random. It's intelligent. It's mathematical. It's the result of a blueprint finally speaking clearly to the quantum field, and the field responding in kind. You are not just living in energy. You are programming with it, whether you know it or not. And once you become conscious of that, once you start sculpting your blueprint with precision, manifestation becomes less about waiting and more about refining your broadcast until reality has no choice but to catch up. There's a dangerous idea circulating silently through spiritual spaces, an idea that sounds innocent on the surface but quietly binds people to their lowest frequencies. It's the belief that low vibration is something you are, that it's your personality, your fate, that some people are just high vibe and others aren't, that if you're anxious, reactive, sad, or uncertain, you're somehow less awakened, less worthy, less capable of creating the life you want. But that's not just untrue, it's energetically destructive. Because what you believe about your vibration becomes the container for your identity. And if you confuse an emotional state with a permanent trait, you unconsciously lock yourself into the very frequency you're trying to escape. You start narrating your own limitation. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm too sensitive. I always feel stuck. But none of these are who you are. They are patterns, learned emotional grooves, neurological pathways that have been repeated so many times they feel like personality, but they're not. They're habits of energy, and like any habit, they can be rewritten. You were not born vibrating low. You learned to collapse into survival, into fear, into self-doubt, not because you're broken, but because your nervous system adapted to your environment. That adaptation created an emotional baseline, and that baseline became your default frequency. But default doesn't mean destiny, it just means it's been practiced more often than anything else. This is the untold truth of vibrational identity. What you feel most often becomes what you expect, and what you expect becomes what you emit, and the field responds not to your highest vision, but to your practiced vibration. That's why you can spend 15 minutes in a morning ritual and still manifest from scarcity all day long. Because your baseline, your subconscious expectation is louder than your temporary peak state. The quantum field isn't analyzing your effort, it's mirroring your dominant frequency. So, if you truly want to shift your life, you must stop trying to change your personality and start rewriting your patterns. This begins with one powerful realization. Low vibration is not an identity problem, it's a regulation problem. Your nervous system is a vibrational regulator. When it perceives threat, real or imagined, it tightens, contracts, speeds up. It shifts you into beta brain wave dominance, restricts your breath, and floods your body with stress chemicals. All of this changes your frequency instantly. You drop out of coherence, your field becomes erratic, your perception narrows, and you begin collapsing timelines of fear, not because you chose them, but because your biology was tuned to them. And most people live here, not because they want to, but because it's familiar, because trauma becomes identity, stress becomes home, and anything outside of that, even joy, peace, abundance, feels foreign, unsafe, unreal. So they resist the very feelings that would liberate them. But here's the breakthrough. You can train your body to trust higher frequencies. This is the work of vibrational reconditioning, not pretending to feel good, but gently introducing your nervous system to emotions it once rejected. You do this not through force, but through consistency, through breath, through somatic anchoring, through new language, through daily energetic hygiene. And as your system adapts, your baseline rises slowly at first, then exponentially. You begin to feel calm in spaces that used to trigger you. You feel worthy in moments that used to collapse you. You stand taller, speak clearer, choose differently, and the field takes notice because your vibration is not just internal. It's communicative. People feel it. Environments respond to it. Opportunities magnetize to it. You don't have to go after the life you want. You just have to stabilize the frequency that already matches it. And that starts by refusing to identify with your lowest states. You are not your triggers. You are not your fear. You are not your history. You are the awareness beneath it, the frequency behind it, the signal choosing its next broadcast. And when you stop identifying with the version of you who's always in survival, you make room for the version who leads with presence, with precision, with quiet magnetism. You stop trying to fake high vibration and start becoming it, not through perfection, but through energetic maturity. Because high vibration doesn't mean constant joy. It means coherence. It means congruence between your mind, heart, and body. It means alignment between what you believe, feel, and act on. And when that congruence becomes normal, not just a peak moment, but a baseline, the field starts collapsing timelines of success so quickly, it feels like life is bending itself around you. But it's not bending, it's responding, because you stop sending mixed signals. And that begins when you stop believing that low vibration is something you are, and start seeing it as something you once practiced, something you can now release. Most people live at the mercy of their energy. They think frequency is something that happens to them, something reactive, spontaneous, outside their control. They wait to feel better. When things get better, they hope that with enough progress, their vibration will rise on its own. But here's the truth most never hear. Your frequency is programmable and you can shift it on command. This is not wishful thinking. This is vibrational mastery, a state of conscious authorship where you stop waiting for reality to change and start instructing the field with the energy of someone who knows, I am not the effect, I am the signal. To get there, you must understand one thing: your state is not fixed. It is the result of a real-time living equation, one made of breath, attention, body posture, emotional memory, biochemical rhythm, and subconscious command. When you shift even one of these, the entire vibrational output begins to shift with it. Let's break this down. The first key is breath. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system. Fast, shallow breathing signals threat. Slow, intentional breathing signals safety, and safety is what allows high-frequency emotion to rise. The moment you shift your breath, you begin shifting your chemistry and with it your broadcast. The second key is attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows, and more importantly, energy collapses. If your attention is scanning for what's missing, what's wrong, what hasn't happened, you're collapsing timelines that match that lack. But if your attention is grounded in appreciation, wholeness, and completion, even just for a few seconds, you begin collapsing timelines where those states are already true. Third, posture and somatics. Your body tells the field what you believe. If you're slouched, tense, small, or closed, you're broadcasting submission. If you open your chest, lengthen your spine, and ground into presence, you emit authority, not arrogance, alignment, and the field responds accordingly. Posture is a frequency language. Fourth, emotional memory. You felt higher states before: gratitude, confidence, peace. These aren't fantasies, they're access points. The more you rehearse these states, the easier they become to return to. You don't have to invent high vibration. You just have to recall it and anchor it until it becomes normal again. And finally, neurochemical reinforcement. Every time you shift into a coherent state, your brain and body release new patterns, neurotransmitters, hormones, and signals that begin reprogramming your baseline. The more often you shift, the more permanent the wiring becomes. You are not just creating a mood, you are installing a frequency. So how do you actually do it? Let's simplify this into a 90-second reset, a field-shifting ritual you can use anytime, anywhere when you feel off, low, triggered, or disconnected. The 90-con frequency reset. Stop everything. Sit or stand in stillness. Don't distract. Don't react. Just pause. Breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds slowly and fully. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 7 seconds like you're deflating resistance. Place one hand over your heart and one on your belly. Feel. Don't think. Just feel the contact. Reconnect with your body as a source of signal. Bring to mind one memory. Any memory where you felt powerful, peaceful, or deeply aligned. Not a perfect moment, a real one. Let the feeling of that memory rise as if it's happening now. Breathe that memory into your body. Let it fill your chest, spine, hands, and face. Let your posture reflect it. Let your breath deepen. Let your nervous system taste it. On the exhale, repeat mentally, I am the frequency, not the effect. Hold that signal for just 30 more seconds. Feel how your body shifts, how the room around you seems to listen, how the field quiets. This is not pretend. This is not placebo. This is real time vibrational authorship. You just changed your chemistry, your coherence, and your energetic output, and with it your point of attraction. Now multiply that by 3 times a day, then by 21 days. Then imagine what version of you would show up in the world if this frequency became your default. This is how creators operate. They don't wait for their vibration to improve. They design it. They condition it. They take the reins back from old emotional defaults and say, this is who I am now. This is the signal I choose. and the field ever faithful responds. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped outsourcing your state to your circumstances. So now it's your turn. Type in the comments, "I'm the frequency." Say it as a reminder, a code, a vibrational stamp on the field, because you are not here to reflect reality. You are here to program it. Reality is not personal, it's precise. It's not responding to your effort, your struggle, or even your potential. It's reflecting your signal, your dominant, embodied, practiced frequency. And the sooner you stop expecting life to reward you for trying and start treating it as a mirror of your vibration, the sooner everything starts to change. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And it doesn't mean your words or your intentions. It means your state, your felt experience, the electromagnetic field you carry into every room, every conversation, every decision. That field is your signal, and reality, like a perfect mirror, reflects it back. Not always instantly, but always accurately. If you are emitting confusion, life becomes complex. If you're broadcasting fear, people become unpredictable. If you vibrate at doubt, doors seem to close. But when you stabilize into clarity, peace, or certainty, even in small private moments, the field begins to reorganize. Not because it's finally listening, but because you finally stopped interrupting your own signal. This is not metaphysical poetry. It's how the universe functions. In physics, resonance is the tendency of a system to vibrate in response to another system that emits a frequency it recognizes. That's how musical instruments tune together. That's how cells communicate. That's how energy fields synchronize. And this is the same mechanism by which life responds to you, not as a sentient being with preferences, but as a living, reactive, self-organizing field of potential. So the question isn't, why is this happening to me? It's, what signal am I emitting that this outcome is reflecting? Most people don't want to ask this because it requires radical ownership. It means you can't blame your circumstances anymore. You can't hide behind the illusion that life is random or unfair. You must step into the realization that everything, the delays, the breakthroughs, the patterns, are reflections of your frequency, and that frequency is always in your hands. You see, life is not reacting to your thoughts, it's reacting to your alignment. And alignment is not a concept, it's a measurable, embodied state where your inner world is synchronized, where your body, mind, and emotions are pointing in the same direction, where what you believe, feel, and act on are coherent. When that coherence becomes dominant, the mirror becomes clear. People start treating you differently, not because they've changed, but because your field is no longer inviting chaos. Money flows differently, not because of strategy, but because scarcity is no longer your baseline. Love appears not because you searched harder, but because your presence stopped broadcasting abandonment. This is the energy mirror. It doesn't lie, it doesn't judge, it doesn't delay out of cruelty, it delays out of calibration. The field is always calibrating to match you, not who you want to be, but who you're actually being. And once you truly see this, you stop chasing, you stop managing outcomes, you begin fine-tuning your frequency instead. You begin asking better questions. What does my energy say right now? What version of me would respond to this with power? What's the next aligned breath, the next aligned choice, the next aligned word? Because every moment is an instruction to the mirror, and the mirror doesn't respond to noise, it responds to clarity. If you look into a mirror and frown and then demand it to smile, nothing happens. Not because the mirror is stubborn, but because it can only reflect what it sees. Life works the same way. You cannot yell at reality with your intentions and expect it to reflect joy. You must become the smile first, the vibration, the frequency, then the reflection changes. But here's the most important truth of all. The mirror is Immediate when the signal is clean. There is no cosmic delay. There's only energetic friction. When your field becomes coherent, the reflection sharpens fast, sometimes shockingly fast, not because the universe finally gave in, but because it finally had a clear enough signal to respond to. And this is why people who do less but vibrate higher often manifest more. It's not luck, it's physics. Their field is clean. Their energy is broadcast without contradiction. They know who they are, what they're aligned with, and they don't dilute their power with doubt. So, if your life still looks cloudy, slow, or out of sync, ask yourself, what distortion is still in my signal? Am I emitting one thing while feeling another? Am I affirming abundance while carrying guilt? Am I declaring readiness while resisting receiving? Because the mirror cannot be fooled, and that's not punishment, it's liberation. Because once you accept that the mirror reflects you, you reclaim power over the only thing that matters, your frequency. And from that place you stop trying to change the reflection and start becoming the image you actually want life to respond to. There's a moment, subtle but unmistakable, when frequency stops being a theory and becomes a lifestyle. When you're no longer working on your energy from the outside in, but instead living from it as if it were your native language. That's the moment you cross the threshold from seeker to emitter. From someone trying to shift reality to someone who is the shift. This is embodied vibration. It's not about trying to feel good all the time. That's a misunderstanding of energy. It's about anchoring so deeply into coherence, into truth, into presence, that even your stillness becomes magnetic, that even your silence begins collapsing timelines, that your very being starts to instruct the field without needing to force, explain, or hustle. You become a frequency of inevitability. This is what happens when energy becomes your default operating system. You don't just think differently, you signal differently. You don't just hope for alignment, you emit it. Your nervous system becomes a transmitter of certainty. Your breath becomes a rhythm of embodiment. Your attention becomes a sculptor of outcomes. And reality responds, not because you're controlling it, but because you've become undeniable to it. You've removed the noise. You've cleared the contradictions. You've trained your emotional body to trust the high frequencies, not just visit them. And perhaps most importantly, you've stopped outsourcing your vibration to the environment. This is the final shift, the one few people ever make. You no longer depend on circumstances to feel safe. You generate safety from within. You no longer wait for success to feel worthy. You radiate worth. You don't ask life to prove anything to you. You declare your frequency and let life align itself accordingly. You've stopped trying to prove your power. You've started living it. And now the people around you begin to feel it, not because you told them, but because your field speaks louder than words. Your presence becomes an invitation, a tuning fork. Disruption to the collective hypnosis of scarcity and chaos. You're not louder. You're clearer. You're not chasing. You're calibrating. You're not hopping. You're remembering, and this remembering has a ripple effect, because embodied frequency is not personal, it's transmissive. When you live in coherence, you create a vibrational permission slip for others to rise. You become the portal, not just to your new reality, but to an entirely different collective field. That's how change happens, not by arguing with the old paradigm, but by radiating something so real, so stable, so harmonized that the old paradigm dissolves in your presence. You don't just change your life, you change the field you walk through. But integration is everything. Without daily practice, embodiment slips back into concept, and concepts don't collapse. Timelines, only vibration does. That's why this isn't a one-time insight. It's a frequency that must be stabilized, deepened, expanded. And for that, there's a next step. If you felt the resonance of this shift, if something inside you is no longer content with theory and is ready to live from. Energetic authorship. Then the work continues in a deeper field. It's an ebook called Awaken Your Quantum Power. A complete guide and practical tool set designed to help you embody, stabilize, and amplify everything we've explored. Here, you'll find the link in the pinned comment below. It's not just a read. It's a recalibration, a coded field that helps you become a conscious emitter of reality, not once but every day, because this is no longer about waiting. This is about broadcasting a new world from within. You've already felt it. Now it's time to live.